Thank you so much for joining us today on Coffee With. I have a guest today that I'm sure many of you will recognize, Glenda Arredondo. And if you don't recognize her, you probably will recognize her voice. Glenda, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
We've been trying to do this for a while, and all the stars and moon lined up, and here we are, finally. Finally.
On a hot summer afternoon.
It is hot, isn't it?
But I've got something to cool me off.
That's right. Something nice and cool. And it's pretty, too. Mm-hmm. Oh, your chocolate got messed up, but it was really pretty a few minutes ago.
Oh, well.
Okay, so I've heard you sing. We've all heard you sing. You have a lovely voice.
Thank you.
And I was listening on the way over here. I was listening to, this will tell my age. I was listening to Anne Murray crooning.
Now, don't you talk bad about my Anne Murray now.
But see, your voice sounds a lot like her. I think you, and I've heard you sing some of her tunes, and you really can pull it off.
Well, thank you. She's one of the singers that I listened to growing up. Anne Murray, and of course Karen Carpenter.
Yes.
Being an alto singer, the singers at that time, I could sing around with most of the male singers because I was in that range.
Sure.
But with the females, the two strong ones that I listened to were Karen and Anne, and they made me feel good about having this low voice.
Right,
that
you
I
can
have
a low voice and be hugely popular.
And I think I developed my pitch too, because Karen had such good pitch, and
Anne
just
Murray does too.
anytime you mimic somebody that's good, you're going to get better.
Well, do you know Anne's song, I Can See Arkansas?
I don't.
Oh, when we finish, if my next interview doesn't show up, we're going to go sit in my car.
Okay.
I'm addicted to the song. And actually, I was listening to that over and over and over on the way over here, and I was like, I want to hear Glenda sing this
Well, I'm
song.
always looking for good material and that suits my voice. So if Anne Murray sang it, it probably suits my voice. But I haven't heard that song. So
Oh, yeah. Seriously, we're going to go sit in my car and listen. That's what I was thinking. I want to hear Glenda sing this song. And I know a few years ago there was a Patsy Cline contest, whatever you want to call it, and you...
It was a production, Always Patsy Cline. It's a theatrical
I thought
production.
there was something before Always Patsy Cline, where there was a Patsy Cline sound-alike contest, and you... No, okay.
No,
I was dreaming that.
When I did the show, though, an insurance man came from Jackson area because he's a big Patsy Cline fan, and he talked to me after the show, and he said, "You know, I listened to Patsy Cline the entire way here this evening, and I was not expecting what I heard." And I thought, "Oh Lord, did I do?" But immediately you think, "Oh man, it must be bad," because people don't usually stop to compliment you, but they're sure going to complain if they don't like something. And he said, "No," he said, "as a matter of fact," he said, I think you did some of her songs better than Patsy did them." And he contacted me about, I want to say, a month later, and asked me to sing for the fall convention of the self-insured providers in Beau Rivage.
Really?
And I got paid a really nice salary.
Wow.
And I got to put up in a room for the night. And he said, you have to be in costume. It doesn't have to be a skit or anything. All I want you to do is just sing an hour's worth of Patsy Cline. So.
And you do sound like Patsy Cline.
Well, thank you.
It's a hard. I've heard you sing. I've heard you sing a lot, but Patsy Cline, Karen Carpenter. I'm not surprised to know that that's who you listen to, Karen Carpenter and Anne Murray, because you pull those off so well.
Well, I train my ear. You listen and you see the little nuances that each one of those singers does, and you try to perform the song as close to how they do it as I can.
Well, interestingly, all the venues where I've heard you, it's been where you were background music to whatever was going on there. And I really would like to hear you cut loose. Because I can tell you're having to bring it in.
Yes, especially at the Old Southern Tea Room. It is supposed to be just easy listening, background, let people have their conversation. And with the speaker system that I have there, if I turn it ever so slightly, it's way too loud.
Yeah.
And if I turn it ever so slightly the other direction, it's way too soft.
Yeah.
So I just have very little play.
Right.
But I think it works. I think it's karaoke. Some people say, "Oh, you sing with karaoke," but I have really nice karaoke arrangements. I have really rich, full jazz arrangements.
I would never have classified that as karaoke. I would just think it's accompaniment. Canned accompaniment or whatever you call it.
Right.
It sounds fantastic.
Thank you.
Really
I really enjoy it. That's the best thing. It's just, I love it. I absolutely love to sing.
Now, that's not all you do.
No, I actually, for many years, I've always baked cakes and took things to the schools for the kids. I have 4 kids. and I would bake things for them to take for their lunch instead of sending them, some Oreos, let's say. And the kids would always say, "Well, you have to send me extra because all my friends want it. When you make something, I have to give it to them. If I give it to them, I don't get any." And so this past Mother's Day, my oldest son, who's 26, he lives in New Orleans, he and his wife, decided that they would get me a Facebook page and order me some business cards. They named it Glenda's Goodies. And they said, "You need to start baking and selling and having a place where people can go and pick what they want and, send you an order or give you a call or whatever. But they need to know that you're out there." And I've sold cheesecakes for years. That's really my specialty. And I have, I think, 65 different cheesecakes, flavors that I make. They're time consuming, but I make them pretty and they're very creamy and just wonderful. And cheesecake is not my favorite thing, but I make really good cheesecake. And I'm a chocoholic, so I have a lot of chocolate cheesecakes, white chocolate and dark chocolate and coffee chocolate and, raspberry chocolate.
And do you have a storefront and you do this out of your home? Or?
I just do it out of my home. Like I said, I've just mostly sold word of mouth, friends that call me, they're having a dinner party or, they're having a New Year's Eve party or something, anniversaries. I make a lot of cheesecakes for anniversary, heart-shaped. It's just mostly word of mouth. I have done birthday cakes over the years for my kids, and I have several pictures on the website of cakes that I've done over the years.
Now, what's your Facebook page?
Glenda's Goodies.
Glenda's Goodies.
Glenda with the apostrophe S.
Okay.
Goodies.
Right.
And then, of course, I have my own Facebook page, which also has some notes on there of my menu in case you have trouble hooking up.
And you mean you have your own website?
I have my own Facebook page, and then I have Glenda's Goodies has a page.
Okay, gotcha. Gotcha.
I thought about getting a web page, but my husband, who's the computer guru, he really is. He works for ERDEC, and he's really good at computers. He said that websites, people really aren't using them that much anymore.
Yeah.
Facebook is the way to go. So we're going that way.
Okay. Now, that's not all you do.
No, I also do theater. That's actually how I got started in singing. As I said before, growing up, I liked to sing, but I somehow felt that my voice wasn't really what people wanted to hear in that because it was so low. And, I had a few little things that happened in junior high and stuff that made me believe that this was a bad thing to have this low voice. Yeah. So in high school, I played cornet in the band, and I never had the chutzpah or whatever to get up there on stage. So I sat in the orchestra pit and looked up there and said, "Oh, that looks like so much fun. Oh, I wish I could do that, But until I moved to Vicksburg, Mississippi, at the age of 33, I didn't have the nerve to do it. And I don't know, Lucy Spangler, her husband works with my husband. We went to see Gold in the Hills. And I saw Elizabeth Thornton perform Mamie, Queen of the Bowery. And with that deep, full, low voice, and I was just inspired. I thought, I can sing that song. I can do this. I know I can do this. I wasn't even nervous about the fact that I was going to have to audition because I knew that song was made for me. And so I talked to Lucy, and she said, "Well, they don't usually let people play Mamie right off the bat. You got to kind of earn your spot." So she said, "Maybe I'll teach you the can-can, and after you do that for a little while, you can try out." So I did can-can 1 year. The following year, I auditioned for Mamie, and I've been doing it this is my 15th year of doing Mamie. So that's how I got started. I did a couple of chorus roles in Once Upon a Mattress and in Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. And then Catherine and Don Riccio were doing a production of Oliver. Well, I had a 9-year-old boy that looked like a underfed homeless waif. And I just knew he would be perfect for the part of Oliver. And he had a beautiful, wonderful soprano voice, and I already knew he had good pitch because we sing in the car a lot. And I had a little girl, and she was really interested in, she had been little Tammy in Gold in the Hills, and she was interested in doing Oliver too. Of course, she wanted to be Oliver too. So, we tried out, and my son Kevin got the role of Oliver, and they double cast it, but they cast a girl as the other Oliver, but she was closer to Kevin's age, a little bit older. Sonia was, I think, 6 or 5 at the time. And they did that in case one of them got sick or got scared or, something happened. And I got the lead role, the lead female role, in Oliver. And so I have to thank Lucy for getting me involved first, and then I have to thank Catherine for giving my first lead role, because the part that I played was Nancy, and Nancy was supposed to be like in her late 20s. Well, I was already 35 or 36. Starting to get, and she said, well, you had the best voice for the part, and the rest of it is theater magic. With the right makeup and the right lighting and the right costume and all that, we'll suspend disbelief.
Yeah.
So, but that was a big leap of faith, because I'd only had 2 small parts before that. So I have to thank her for that. And anything you do with Donna and Catherine is top notch. So I knew that it was going to be a great set and a fabulous show, and it was. Then I've done a lot. I've done Sound of Music, Paint Your Wagon. What are some of the other ones I did? I can't even think of right now. No, I didn't do Noises Off. But then my next biggest and most exciting role was Patsy Cline. And I almost didn't try out.
One-woman show?
It's a 2-woman show and a band. There's the other character is a fan that Patsy meets in a honky-tonk bar before she became famous. And this character is based on a book that Alice Nassour wrote. And she is a larger-than-life, full-of-personality person. And she's funny. She's really funny. So a lot of Patsy's songs are kind of sad and, I'm out of love and I have the wrong man and he doesn't treat me right and, I'm lonesome and blue.
Right.
Well, you counter that, and they're beautiful ballads. I mean, absolutely beautiful ballads. And that's what I really love to sing, is a beautiful ballad. But you counter that with this hilarious persona who's just up to her eyeballs in antics.
Yeah.
And the person that we got, I played it actually twice now. I played it with 2 different actresses, co-actresses. And the first one played it a little more subtle, a little more control, but still you have the same lines. It's still just as funny, But the second one, Shirley Stewart. And I don't know, if you don't know Shirley Stewart, you need to interview her. Because she is a hoot. She has an expression for every occasion. And she, for one little funny thing in the play. She supposedly drives a pink and black Cadillac that she, how people sometimes call their car baby or honey or the rose or whatever. Well, this character called her pink and black Cadillac her sexy dude. And when Shirley went looking for a Western shirt for the show, she went to Buckaroo's and looked at the sale rack, no less, and found a pink and black shirt with a old car on the back.
That is too funny.
A sexy dude shirt. She found a sexy.
So funny.
That shirt was made for Shirley to wear in that show. But I have to thank Garrett Wallace for trusting me. Now, I was almost 50. Patsy Cline died in her late 20s, early 30s.
Right.
I was old for the part. But he knew I could sing it. Then again, he had to trust that my busy life would allow me to learn 27 songs in 5 weeks. And some dialogue. I lost a lot of sleep during that show. I lost some weight, too, from lack of sleep and worrying about, am I going to be able to remember all these songs? But it was the hardest thing I've ever done, and it was the most rewarding thing that I've ever done. I can't even describe it.
Wow.
So, if I don't do anything else phenomenal, I have
You've
this
done
story
all
to
this
tell my
Patsy
grandchildren. I've got it on video. I'm not supposed to video, but I have it.
Now, you moved here when you were 33. Where were you from?
Northern California, farming community called Woodland, California. It's in the Sacramento Valley. And
what brought you to Mississippi?
Well, my husband was working for the Army Corps of Engineers in Sacramento, and they had bid on several jobs at a huge building. They didn't get a lot of the jobs that they bid on, and they kind of put it out there and said, look, we may have to relocate some of you, and you might not like where we put you. So it might behoove you to look for something or someplace that you would like to go and do that on your own. Well, he was in an engineering group that met a couple of times a year, and they were from all over the United States. And there were a couple of people that had already expressed interest in having him come to the Waterways Experiment Lab. So he he called and he said, do you have anything available? I'm thinking about, maybe moving. And they said, oh yeah, we absolutely, when can you come? And so they gave him a promotion and sweetened the pot a little more, and they paid for the cost for us to move here, which was huge.
Right.
And my husband sweetened the pot and said, housing is less expensive there. We can have a bigger house. We can have more land. You can continue to stay home for a while because the cost of living is just lower with the taxes and everything else. Taxes in California will kill you.
They're crazy.
They will kill you.
I vacationed out there and I was amazed. I bought a cookie that was $6.
Oh, it's paradise.
My mother and I are still talking about that.
But it's only paradise if you can afford it.
Who's paradise?
Yeah, exactly. The rich.
Was he from California as well?
He was. We met in high school in band. But he actually was originally from Mexico. He was born in Mexico. He lived there for 8 years. And then his father had been working and going home on, Christmas and whenever he could for several years. And his mother finally said no. She said, either you stay here and we're here, or we go there and we're there. But I'm not doing this. I'm not raising these kids on my own and being on my own all the time. So decide what you're going to do. And he said, okay, we're going to move. And he was the foreman for a very large farmer in the area, and he stayed with that farmer the entire time he was there. And but we met in band. My husband plays trumpet. He's really, really good. He plays with the Mississippi Wind Symphony.
What's your husband's name?
Elias.
Okay. That name sounds so familiar to me.
Well, he plays in a lot of groups. He plays in the Vicksburg Community Orchestra. He plays in the Mississippi Wind Symphony. He played in the St. Joseph Orchestra for a while. He and I both play in the First Presbyterian Brass Quintet.
Maybe that's where I know you from.
Maybe.
I mean, not know him, recognize his name from.
Right, and he also plays in the Ridgeland Community Symphony. Well, community band, say, not symphony. But so in our house, there's always been a lot of music. He prefers classical and Baroque, and I prefer vocal, just about any style except for opera or rap. Now, I'm not going to say there's no opera that I like. Like, for instance, I love Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah.
But most of it is not my cup of tea. So, and he doesn't really like to listen to vocal music. So the kids have gotten a dose of both of us on long car drives. Do we have to listen to Dad's music today? It's his turn. But I have my two oldest sons are trumpet players, very fine trumpet players. My oldest was really interested in classical music and at one time wanted to be a classical trumpet player. But he went into the seminary for a couple of years, thought he maybe was going to be a priest, Catholic priest. And then he decided no, he just couldn't give up having a family. So he got out. He has a bachelor's in theology. He's working on his master's. He's married now. He has a child.
Wonderful.
He's a director of religious education. His wife also has a degree in theology, and she's a teacher at one of the private Catholic schools in the area. And then my second son, Adam, he is living in New Orleans and wants to be a jazz trumpet player. So of course that's the perfect place for him to be to really study the craft. And he gets to sit in sometimes. He goes to a lot of places, and every now and then they'll let him just sit in and play. And he's taking lessons. And he studied at Mississippi State trumpet. So. And now I have to mention my third child because he's the only one I haven't mentioned. I think. Well, I mentioned Kevin earlier, younger. He is at Belhaven now. He's in his third year. He's majoring in dance and minoring in voice, and he hopes to be a ballet dancer.
Wow.
And Sonia just graduated from high school, is going to go to Mississippi State. Graphic art is what she's looking into. But
You have some very talented children.
well, they've been exposed to it, so to them it's just almost second nature, I think. But the youngest two took dance. They both really liked that, and they both were in more theatrical productions than the elder two. The elder two are more just playing the trumpet. But they all give 110%, just about anything they do, so they got a lot out of what training they got.
Yeah. Well, Glenda, I see you all over the place, and now I know why, because you are everywhere. And I thank you so much for taking time to come and sit with me today. It was great fun.
Well, you're very welcome.
And I look forward to hearing more of you.
Currently, we're working on Breaking Up is Hard to Do. It's a Neil Sedaka musical. It's all music that he composed. There are 6 characters in the show, and we all do some singing and acting, and it's a really fun show. I saw it at New Stage last year, and they actually held it over 3 nights. So it's a really good show, and it's second and third weekend of September at VTG.
Great. That sounds like great fun. I love that music.
Yep.
And anytime you're in a production or have something going on, give us a call. I'd love for you to come back
Okay,
and
I
chat
sure
with us
will.
again. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Promotional consideration provided by
Amber Sanders from Happy Hair. Get your hair happy at 3402 Wisconsin Avenue.